Hello and welcome to Weekly MTG. It's the first day of Timespiral Remastered previews. We're really excited to be here. I'm Steve Sanu alongside Chris Peeler. That way.
Hello.
As per usual, it's good to be here. Good to see everybody here on this Thursday afternoon, evening, or morning, wherever you may be. We are going to talk about Timespiral Remastered today. It's really exciting. It's very, very cool. Lots of things. We do have previews today, so stay tuned. You'll get to see some new cards from the set. But first, we have a little bit of news to go over. First up, if you are into competitive Magic, you can't do any better than League Weekend for Magic the Gathering, called Heim. February 27 and 28, that's this Saturday and Sunday. Coverage begins 11 a.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UTC, and 8 a.m. Pacific. So you can watch that live on twitch.tv/magic, and you can find more details on League Weekend on magic.gg right now.
Standard has just been all kinds of wild nonsense for the past couple of days. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what people are able to do in the format.
It's going to be a lot of fun. See all the top pros go up against one another. Lots of really cool matchups. And you can take a look at the leaderboard, see where MPL and rivals are standing and what they need to do in order to pull ahead before the next big competitive event. Next up, we've also got a secret layer on sale right now. It's Black is Magic, proudly supporting Black Girls Code. It's on sale right now on secretlayer.magic.com. The sale ends March 31, 2021. So go ahead and get that pre-order in right now. Finally, there was one other thing that happened today. There is a thing that we announced called Universes Beyond. And we're not going to be talking about it all during the stream. We just don't have anything else to say than what's already been revealed. But if you do want more details about it, there is an article on Daily MTG that covers the spread of what we're saying right now. So I'd encourage you to go over there, read it, but we will not be talking anything about Universes Beyond today. So I know you have questions, and your answers will come in time. It just won't be on this show. But with that said,
still quite a ways.
It's true.
Sorry, we're quite a ways away from those products being anywhere close to coming out, and really we just don't have too much more to share than what's already been said. So
that's right. So again, direct you to read the article on Daily MTG. It's got a lot of detail there, but we are not going to be answering any questions about Universes Beyond today. That said, we are going to be answering a lot of questions about Timespiral Remastered, and to do that, we have a very special guest coming on board. You may recognize him from his incredible YouTube work on Good Morning Magic. It's Gavin Verhey.
Hello, good afternoon, Magic, everybody. Good to talk to you.
Branding.
Yeah, whenever you come on, I'm going to make you say good afternoon, Magic, so that people know that you have a morning show, and then sometimes you appear on the afternoon show.
That's what the show is called, right? We should rebrand it from Weekly MTG to Good Afternoon Magic. Then we just need Good Evening Magic, and we got the whole trifecta ready to go. That's what I'm thinking.
It's called vertical integration right there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's jump right into Timespiral Remastered. So, Gavin, we've seen you are the product architect for Timespiral Remastered, and you've had a lot of conversations with the set design team. We're going to talk about set design this week. Gavin is going to come back next week, and we're going to talk about some more product architect-y type things, which fit our preview cards a little bit more. But we've seen remastered sets in digital platforms before, right? We've seen them on Magic the Gathering Arena. We've even seen them on Magic Online with stuff like Tempest Remastered. This is actually the first time a remastered set has shown up in paper. So from a set design standpoint, how does the team start remastering a whole block down into a single set?
Yeah, and it's such a funny story too, Steve, because thinking about our timelines and how they work, we actually started working on Timespiral Remastered before any of the Arena remastered sets existed. So timelines are really, really funny like that. But the idea was we wanted to take a set and distill it, or take a block rather, and distill it down to a single set. So in doing that, we picked a fan favorite block, Timespiral. It's one of my favorite blocks of all time. It might be my favorite block of all time. And we decided to take people who really knew the set well, and then figure out what was going to be the most memorable, enjoyable parts of the set and make sure those were captured here. So all the things you love doing in Timespiral block, all the, some of your favorite combos, your favorite decks to draft, all those are going to be represented in this set. And we wanted to make sure all those were captured. And even though we're distilling 3 sets down into one, the key components of a lot of those strategies are still there. And what we cut was mostly, some of the commons and uncommons that weren't really doing a lot to support the strategy, or a few particularly annoying commons and uncommons that were causing some challenges for the draft format. We cut some of those out there. I'm sure some people can imagine what some of those cards might be.
I was going to say,
cards
anybody
could be potentially, but
yeah, maybe I have no idea what green instant or sorcery you could be talking about here. But yeah, we'll find out as previews go on. So following up on that a little bit. So how is the? Oh, sorry, Gavin. Do you have? All right.
No,
so how
it's
is the,
fine. It's fine. People figure it out.
Yeah. So how's the design approach for different for a remastered set than it is for something like a standard legal release or even like a Masters set? Like, especially with like the Masters parallel, there's definitely some overlap, I have to imagine, but for something like this, probably pretty different too.
One thing I love about working on master sets or all reprint sets is it's almost like a puzzle you're trying to solve. Like when you're designing a set from scratch, you have every bit of possibility in front of you, right? You could write any mechanic, any words, anything you wanted on the cards. But when you're working on a reprint set, it's using existing Magic pieces. How do you make a brand new set and make it really interesting? And in this case, it was particularly a particularly interesting puzzle because all the pieces are very constrained, right? You have this one block to work with, plus these 121 cards on this bonus sheet. And how do you make the bonus sheet cards add some new life into the format, make it feel different than before? And how do you look at all three sets in the block and turn it into one cohesive, interesting to draft set? And so what we did is with the three sets in the block, we made sure that, like I said earlier, a lot of your favorite archetypes are there. The stuff that you know and love is available. For example, today in my Good Morning Magic episode, I showed off a bunch of Rebels, and you can once again draft Rebels in this set because Rebels were a key part of the original Timespiral block. But with the bonus sheet cards, there are a couple fun cards in there that do enable new strategies you weren't able to do in the original Timespiral block. So a lot of the fun here is it's the set that you know and love, and if you drafted it before, you get all those great fuzzy feelings. But every now and then, someone will draft a bonus sheet card that allows you to do something really different and draft a deck that you've never seen before. And that's exactly what I love, right? It's the thing that you love with a little bit of a twist, like any good remastered thing should be.
Well,
yeah, I can imagine Oh, sorry. Oh, just
no, please go ahead, Chris.
That bonus sheet adds in there. Yeah, because like the bonus sheet is huge, wide. There's all kinds of different cards from throughout history, and some of those are going to be really potent, limited build arounds. So that's what I'm excited to get my hands on personally.
We may or may not have one of those bonus sheet cards coming up for you later in the show. But before we get to that, I do want to touch on something you said a little bit earlier, Gavin, which was you were around. A lot of us were playing during the original Timespiral block. And when it debuted, when Timespiral in particular debuted, it was one of the most, if not the most complicated Magic sets in the history of the game. I think that might still be true to this day. I think there are some sets that you could make the argument for, but how when you have something that has that reputation, right? That reputation of a really high complication ceiling, how did the design team approach keeping things a little more focused in the remastered version of the set?
Yeah, when you think of Timespiral block, I don't know the number off the top of my head. I should have looked it up before the show, but I think it's got 70-something mechanics across the entire block. By the time you factor in individual Future Sight 1-ofs, planar chaos stuff, Timespiral stuff, like there is so much going on, and it is easily the most complicated block in all of Magic's history. Our strategy for the most part was we're going back to Timespiral. Go nuts, right? You have everything on the table you can go use. If you want to use a flanking card or a frenzy card or what have you, go for it. So we didn't take anything off the table. But as we started drilling down into the archetypes that players enjoyed drafting, a lot of those were more focused strategies, right? You have things like the Rebel strategy. You have Suspend focused decks. You have Storm focused decks, all those kinds of things. And some of the extra mechanics, you start just, slicing those off here and there. Turns out Frenzy wasn't a thing you needed. Transfigure wasn't necessarily a thing you needed. And so over time, some of that gets cut off. We didn't intentionally leave anything out, but just by virtue of cutting it down to make it a more structured draft environment, we got a little bit more of that streamlined nature. That said, the format is still plenty complex, and there's still a lot for that experienced player to dig their teeth into. And this is really a set for people who have either been playing for a while now, but never got to play Timespiral the first time to go check it out, or people who loved it the first time, like me, to go back and relive it again. Because there's enough there to make it, once again, all the stuff you love with a bit of a new twist, and you get to try it out with some new eyes.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I know that I've only had the opportunity to do Timespiral block drafts like on MidGo with, you know, the occasional flashback draft ages ago. So it's really exciting to finally get my hands on this and, you know, be able to like have physical Timespiral cards. I might have done like a triple Future Sight event at a GP ages
Oh,
ago,
woof.
but we don't.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's a
we don't
wild,
talk
that's a
about.
wild one.
Yeah, that we don't talk about that one. That was not. If you want to talk about complex, yeah, triple Future Sight. That'll do it for you. Okay, so we talked a little bit about sort of the limited themes of the set from original Timespiral block, and then some of those are obviously going to carry over to remastered, but not, you know, in different, new and exciting ways. So talk to us a little bit about those sort of draft archetypes that we're familiar with or less familiar with coming to Timespiral Remastered.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a number of them, and it's kind of like a modern day set where every 2-color combination has a thing you can do, although some are a little more varied than others. And some of the big archetypes you'll see are white-black rebels. I mentioned that a little bit earlier, but using cards like Amaru Scout, which I previewed in my video earlier, and a variety of rebels, plus maybe a fun few twists from that were added into the set. You can draft some pretty cool rebel stuff. There's a Storm deck, of course. Storm was a key part of Timespiral block, and while we can't show you any of those cards yet, there's some fun Storm stuff going on there. And the way you set the Storm decks up is often with Suspend. So you'll suspend a bunch of cards and have them all go off on the same turn, and then cast a Storm spell, which is really rewarding and super fun to draft. Another key archetype that you can draft is Madness. So Madness was an archetype in Timespiral block back in the day, and you can do that again this time around. So those are just a few of the ones that are out there. And, you know, the way that we're doing previews this week, and some of you might have noticed, is we're going by colors, right? So today is white preview card day. We're previewing the white cards all today. So some of these other archetypes you won't have seen anything for yet. For example, Madness, not a lot there in terms of mono white cards, but it is coming. And today you're going to see a lot of stuff, like I said, for Rebels, for example, as one of the particular archetypes you can draft.
There is another bit of archetypes that we can draft as well, and that brings us to our preview cards that we're going to show you today. So let's talk about preview cards. So one of the strategies that I remember most fondly in Timespiral block was flickering things. I really love flickering things, and as you know, white is a color that has access to flicker fairly often. One of the flicker cards that I most enjoyed casting in Timespiral block was this card, Momentary Blink. And we're going to show it right here. It hasn't changed very much from its first iteration, has it, Gavin?
No, this card is such a delight. I think this card has basically been a fan favorite ever since it debuted. The fact you get 2 uses on your Blink effect, the fact that you can reuse all kinds of awesome enter this battlefield effects, and this is a great example to me of a card that we put in this set because 1, it's a fan favorite. 2, there's all kinds of things in the set that it combos with. But 3, there's a few cards we put on the bonus sheet that are really awesome with Momentary Blink. And so you can live out your favorite old dreams plus some new ones. And there definitely is a bit of a Blink strategy going on that you can draft in blue, white in particular. And you'll see some other cards here in the second that help facilitate that. But yeah, this card is a blast to play. And it's a kind of thing where maybe you've never got to play it in Limited. Maybe you've only played it in Commander or something like that. Well, here you can play it in its kind of original draft format, the way that people saw it for the first time, and it is a blast. And it's kind of card that you might play if you're mono white or white green or something, right? If you're not playing blue, but if you do have blue in your deck or you can splash for blue, man, it adds so much extra power to the card.
Yeah, it's not super difficult to find a situation where casting Momentary Blink once will get you like almost a card's worth of effect or advantage, and then being able to flash it back just means you just get to go to town. It's a ton of fun.
The things that this kind of card does too, I mean, it's very subtle, but yes, it retriggers enters the battlefield effects, but it also prevents a removal spell, right? If they target your thing with a removal spell, you can cast this in response and have it come back. It untaps your creature to give it like pseudo vigilance, so they're attacking, you blink it, it untaps it. There's a lot of little things you can do with this card, and having that instant in your graveyard is terrifying to play against because you always have to think about it. And one thing you'll notice definitely when drafting Timespiral block is, from a design perspective, after Timespiral block, we instituted what was called New World Order. And this came out of Timespiral block being such a complicated set. So there's a lot of things in this set that you wouldn't quite see today. A lot of onboard tricks and stuff hiding in graveyards and the kind of things that really experienced players or people who have been playing for a little while love sinking their teeth into. And Momentary Blink is one such thing that, yeah, you might accidentally walk into if you're not careful. So be paying attention to your opponent's graveyard.
Chris, you want to tell us what the next preview card is? Set it up a little bit.
Let's see here. So the next preview card we got going up, producer Sean, please get that one ready for us. Oh man, wait, I need to find our list real quick. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, folks. I lost the list. Sean, put it up. We got this.
We got this.
There we go. Good old white main lion. Yeah. 2/2 Flash Cat. Enters the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. Sort of a staple white common effect, but like we were saying before, just all kinds of weird little things that you can set up and tricks that you can abuse with this one. Yeah, I mean, returning a creature that's about to be targeted by a removal spell, or resetting something that maybe has like a pacifism effect on it or something like that. Good for just tagging all number and manner of things, and then you get a nice little kitty on top of it. Just as a little extra treat on top.
Most things in Timespiral block are a reference to something else, or at least in the first set and the second set. And White Main Line is another what was called gating creature. So gating debuted in Plane Shift, and there were these creatures that when they came into play, you had to return a creature back to your hand. And with the Plane Shift ones, it cared about the color of that card. For example, if you played a green-red gating card, you would have to return a green or red creature. Well, Planar Chaos is this kind of alternate take on gating because, of course, alternate reality was Planar Chaos's whole thing, where you don't have to worry about color, and in fact, you can often use it to save a creature, either one that's getting targeted by a removal spell, reuse and enter the battlefield effect, all kind of fun stuff to be done here. Now, some things that you might not immediately notice about this card, or one big thing in particular, is it can return itself. So you can also use White Main Line, not only to reset pacifisms, but to up your storm count. You can just jam it, return it, return it a few times. You pick up some extra storm. You can trigger an any enters the battlefield effect endless times by just paying 2 mana to cast it and pick it back up. So this one card gets a lot of play. And in Planar Chaos, there was actually a whole vertical cycle of these, with White Main Line at common, and then another one at uncommon that picked up a creature, and then another one, Dust Elemental, at rare, that had you pick up 3 creatures. So this was a fun little mini theme that showed up in Planar Chaos, and Timespiral Remastered would not quite feel right without having some of this effect in there. So really happy to get this ability in Timespiral Remastered.
Let's talk about another card that's in the similar vein as White Main Lion, a card that I really love in Limited. This is another card that I enjoy in Limited, but it's slightly different. We're going to take a look next at Stone Cloaker, a card that many people might recognize. That's right, it's Stone Cloaker. It's a gargoyle with flying and flash as a 3/2. It also has gating in that when it enters the battlefield, you have to return a creature you control to its owner's hand. But when it enters the battlefield, you can also exile a card from a graveyard, which is pretty cool.
And this is the second card in that vertical cycle I was talking about. So you had in Planar Chaos originally, you had White Main Lion at common and Stone Cloaker at uncommon as the uncommon gating card. And here you see this really play into the fact that you can return it to your hand. Because if you have 3 mana available, you can cast it, exile a card from a graveyard, and pick it back up. So this is an interesting card in that you can use it in a lot of different ways. You can either play it as just an aggressive 3/2 flyer, return your 2-drop to your hand, something like that. You can use it as a defensive card to, surprise out of nowhere, pick up your creature, to dodge a removal spell or something. Or you can use it to deny all of your opponent's flashback cards or other graveyard shenanigans they might be having. And there's a very interesting counterplay between these things. For example, once you have played it once from your hand and then returned it to your hand to exile a card from a graveyard, then your opponent knows that you have it. So it's not as effective anymore as a combat trick. So there's a lot of interesting decisions to be made with this one card, and kind of shows that the number of axes you can play this card on.
Yeah, and Stone Cloaker, correct me if I'm wrong, Gavin, but this card actually saw some play in Standard back in the day, right?
It absolutely did. Yeah, it was a great sideboard card to both, once again, hit graveyards and be able to keep coming back over and over again, but also in white mirrors to be able to protect your creatures. One interesting thing, too, about this time around is, of course, it's Timespiral, but all the rules are modern-day rules. So back in Timespiral originally, you had damage on the stack, which allowed for another dimension of play to these cards, but no damage on the stack this time around. And frankly, it's a lot cleaner when you play with them. There's no longer this very silly, have my creature assign its damage to your thing, but before it dies, return it back to my hand, right? That's not a thing this time around. So you got to play them a little more fair and get a little more creative, because that was easy mode. That was easy mode with Stone Cloaker and White Lion. Now you got to actually work
the world we're living in when damage on the stack was easy mode.
Yes,
yeah,
right.
No, I mean, and the wild thing is like just how effective and powerful these cards are, and how many different tricks and play lines they enable without something as crazy good as damage on the stack tricks, right? You know, like it's just the different branching pathways of decisions you can make with a limited environment like this are, it's a lot.
But you know, it cuts both ways, right? You have to be careful, because if you play your Stone Cloaker or White Lion and they kill off it while it's on the battlefield and its triggers on the stack, or they kill off your other creature, you might have to like return something you didn't want to return, and it could totally decimate your board. So yeah, you gotta be really careful with that one. And that once again allows for really great counterplay between the two players.
So this next card, we're going to play a little bit of a game here. It's this is, I think, the first card that we've revealed, definitely on our stream, that actually has new art. So we're going to show you the art first and give you a couple of seconds to guess which card it is, given that we've seen a lot of the thematically related cards so far. Hopefully it won't take chat too long to get it. But producer Sean, let's go ahead and throw up that art there.
Yeah, and I'll tell a fun little story, which is, so for Timespiral Remastered, we mostly wanted to keep the art from the original set. But there are a couple of places where we deviated. And one place where we deviated is when we could show off a popular story character or popular story moment in a cool new way, or give them a cool new personality and perspective. And as the chat is very quickly nailed, this is indeed Mangara of Koronor. And the original art, it's fine. It's totally solid. Nothing wrong with it. But here you see Mangara a lot more regally. You see, them really standing up. They're not just, cowering under a lightning bolt anymore. And yeah, so really happy to get this, especially because it gets played in other formats. Like this sees Legacy play as well. It's a possible commander you can use. And one of the best things you can do with it are those enter the battlefield, return something to your hand shenanigans that we just saw with Stone Cloaker and White Lion. Because you can activate Mangara, trigger on the stack, target something, play a White Lion or Momentary Blink or a Stone Cloaker, return Mangara to your hand, and Mangara is not exiled, but exiling their thing still goes off. And this was super fun to build around in original Timespiral.
Yeah, this is, as Chad has identified, this is an old Death and Taxes card as well. This is an excellent, excellent card. It sees play in, I've seen it see play in Commander. I've seen it in, Select Eternal formats. Really, really cool effect, especially when you have that flicker strategy on board.
Yeah, I have fond memories of Mangara in particular. When I was first getting into the game, the guy who sort of taught me how to play had sort of this combination Solar Flare Reanimator Blink deck that would just utilize Mangara and Momentary Blink alongside things like Angel of Desolation, I think was the original Guild Pact Angel with that ETB sort of like Vindicate effect. So yeah,
Angel
just
of Despair, yeah.
Angel of Despair, thank you. Yeah, just like pulling stuff out of the graveyard, blinking constantly, and just like slowly taking out all the key permanents on your opponent's side of things. So happy to see Mangara again, although hopefully on my side and not on the other side of the table.
Well, that's not all. You'd think that would be all, since it's but there's more. We have more. We're going to show this next card because it didn't quite fit in with the rest of that Mangara Blink strategy, but it does still have a thematic resonance with the other cards that we showed. Let's go ahead and put it up on the screen. It's Stormfront Riders.
Yeah, so this is a very interesting card, and this is another card in that category, and it's quite unusual because once again, you can play this in a few different ways. You can jam it down as a 5-mana creature, pick up 2 other creatures, make some tokens, and leave your Stormfront Riders in play. Or, more classically, you can play it and return itself and something else to make some tokens, and you can just keep playing your Stormfront Riders every single turn. So you have to kind of decide if you want to have the 4/3 flyer now and just cash it in right away, or if you want to slowly accrue tokens over time. I'll note that even on its own, with no other creatures in play, it can still over time grind you out additional creature tokens, because you play it, you return it to your hand, you get a token. Next time you play it, you return it in a token to your hand, you get 2 tokens, and so on and so forth. Now, one interesting thing about Stormfront Riders, and this also applies to Momentary Blink, Stone Cloaker, White Lion, because we talked a lot about its synergy with Mangara, which you do need the instant speed for, and Stormfront Riders can't do. But there are a lot of other cards in the set that have just plain enters the battlefield effects, or have things you might want to recast again that work well with this. And so you can both play the blue-white blinky strategy, as we saw with Momentary Blink, but you can also do this in white-green, white-red. There's a lot of different ways you can interact. With this card. And one of the hallmarks to me of Timespiral is how interconnected a lot of the pieces are, and how you can use different cards in different strategies. And Stormfront Riders and its ilk are, to me, great examples of just that.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
So I did say that we have one card from but would it be fair to call the bonus sheet a time-shifted sheet this time around, Gavin?
I think I would call it a time-shifted sheet. I think technically it's called the bonus sheet, but time-shifted works for me.
we do have a card. Yeah, right. It's not like this is streamed live or anything.
No.
We do have one more preview card for you. It is a card that is on that bonus sheet, or if you prefer time-shifted sheet, that has only ever been printed in the modern frame, but has never been printed in the pre-8th edition frame. So we're going to show that to you momentarily. But I also want to, before we do that, talk a little bit about the set as a whole. This set is releasing on March 19. There will also, not only will it be releasing in stores, on tabletop, it'll also be releasing on Magic the Gathering Online. So if you would like to get a draft on with the internet people, you can do that. Additionally, all of the cards in the set are reprints. All of the cards that are in the modern frame were originally in Timespiral block. That means Timespiral, Planar Chaos, and Future Sight. And all of the cards that are on the bonus sheet were not in Timespiral originally. Is that correct, Gavin?
Yes, that's
and
correct.
All of the cards on that bonus sheet will show up
cards
in the retro frame, which is the coolest part.
Yes, and none of the bonus sheet cards from original Timespiral are here, right? So we basically swapped bonus sheets was kind of the idea there. So you won't find Jasmine Boreal or anything like that peeking out from the inside of your booster wrapper.
All right. Well, as you all might have noticed, today is White Preview Day. It's the preview for all the white cards in the set. That's why you've been seeing so many of them on the internet and on our stream today. We're going to go ahead and show you the final preview card that we have today. This is a card that I really love personally. Let's go ahead and put it up there.
Hey.
It's Palace Jailor, but in the retro frame. First available in Conspiracy Take the Crown, right?
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Set.
First Conspiracy
this
set.
Looks
That's right.
It's for Conspiracy Take the Crown is where this card first debuted, and the art. Some pieces of art fit so well in this old frame, right? This is one I see, and it looks like it's straight out of like Homelands or Fallen Empires or something like that, right? Like it just totally meshes together so well, and this is a card that sees some legacy play for sure. I've had it see Commander play, and it's the first instance of the Monarch showing up in the old frame. Now, this is one of the things I was talking about earlier, where you'll have all your old favorite friends that you know from Timespiral block, but you also have a few new tricks. You've never flickered a Palace Jailer before, but let me tell you, taking back the Monarch that way is really good because you'll draw a card every single turn that you're the Monarch. You've also maybe never drafted a deck that is like white weenie, low to the ground, plays Palace Jailer, exiles their stuff, and then draws a bunch of cards off Monarch every turn in Timespiral. But you can draft that here. So it both emphasizes further some archetypes that have been good in Timespiral in the past, but also allows for a little bit of new stuff to exist. So this is a great one to pick up with your White Man Line or your Stone Cloaker or Momentary Blink Away. And I know there's a lot of legacy players who will be happy to get their hands on this, or just fans of Monarch for formats like Commander. So really happy to put this one here. And it also, to me, shows off the range of these time-shifted cards, of these cards on this bonus sheet, right? We saw it's not just stuff from mainline booster sets. There's stuff from Conspiracy in here. And there's some pretty weird cards on this list. So Palace Jailer is one that's, kind of an oddball from Conspiracy, but so happy to be able to get in here.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of this card. Even all the way up to, sort of like a cube staple playable in my mind, the added bonus of just being able to kick back and accrue advantage while also disrupting what your opponent's doing. It's a good time. Palace Jailer's good.
I'm a big fan of that card in Cube as well. If you've never Restoration Angel, you can do it in Commander too. I think it feels better in Limited to do it. But if you've never cast a Restoration Angel targeting your Palace Jailer, oh man, are you missing out? Are you missing out?
And previewed earlier today, by the way, is Restoration Angel in the old card frame. So speaking of Blink shenanigans, that is yet another card you can get. And once again, exactly what I'm talking about, where you can blink things in ways you've never tried doing it before. Fun part about Palace Jailor too is that the effect ends not when the Jailor leaves the battlefield, but when you stop being the Monarch. So even if they kill off the Jailor, their thing will still stay exiled until they can deal damage to you, which you can make pretty hard sometimes.
Gavin, we're going to talk about this a lot more next week, but I do want to address potentially some questions that might come up about how you can get these amazing retro frame cards in Timespiral Remastered. How often do they occur? Where can you get them? Like, give us the whole story here.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll just kind of tell some of the background because I think the story is pretty fun. And one of the things for me that's fun about Timespiral is the history, right? There's so much history in this set. So when Timespiral, the original set, came out back in 2007, I think, it was a normal set, or as normal as any set with a million mechanics can be, except one slot in every booster pack had an old card frame card in it. And these were cards from Magic's history, and they've ranged from, top shelf cards that people knew very well to cards like Spitting Slug or Uncle Istvin or, Celestial Dawn, some really fun oddballs. And there's really much a wide mix of everything there. Even cards like Dragonstorm, which were, hilariously at the time, like, oh, this is the Storm card that never did anything. Ha ha ha, we'll put it on the sheet. Well, it broke standard for a year and a half, so oops. So a really wide range of things showed up on that sheet. And it was kind of meant to be cards that were memorable, and you would look at them and be like, I have a fond memory associated with this. There's something about this that really speaks to me. I remember casting Tribal Flames with Domain or things like that. Well, that was a huge hit at the time. And it was this moment that, as a Magic player playing then, I will always remember of getting these old card frame cards in my hands, playing with cards I had either heard about, maybe never played before, or had fond memories of again. Mystic Snake, right? Getting to play that again was huge for me. That's one of my favorite Magic cards ever. So this time around with Timespiral Remastered, the idea was, let's just do the same thing, but with a whole new bonus sheet and cards that have never appeared in the old card frame before. Because for years, I've had players asking me, can we ever see the old card frame again? And it took a lot of work and a lot of effort to unlock and be able to use that frame again. But big hats off to our production team for making it happen. And so the long and the short of it is, in every single pack of Timespiral Remastered, there will be one old frame bonus sheet time-shifted card. They all drop at equivalent rarities, so you're as equally likely to open any of them, and they're totally playable in the draft format. So when you crack one open, it's going to create kind of an unusual experience because these things don't show up very, very much, right? You would do an 8-player draft. You're not opening up all 121 of them in that draft. It'll take you several drafts to see the same card appear. So it allows for a lot of fun variants in your draft and gameplay, which is really, really cool. A popular question is, can you get them in foils, and what will the foils look like? They do have the shooting star. There, you can get them in foil. They have the shooting star like the old foils do on them, which is really, really cool. And that's something we wanted to try and replicate as closely as we possibly could. So once again, big hats off to our production team for making that happen. And I can't wait for you to get them in your hands.
It's going to be really great.
I've had the chance. Oh yeah, I've had the chance to
go ahead.
hold one of the foils in my hands. I won't say what red card, but it's a red card that's near and dear to my heart. And they look stunning in person. They're just a real treat. So looking forward to seeing people get their hands on them. I know the other week, I think it was Pascal Maynard who tweeted just like holding up the cranial plating that got added to the list. I think that was called Time Set Boosters. Yeah, that got added to the list, and people were freaking out seeing that in the wild. And they haven't even seen anything yet. It's going to get way cooler before it's over.
Yeah, for sure.
There was there's the card that you're referencing, Chris, which I will not speak of, but it is a red card. Mm-hmm. And I got a stack of cards to my desk to show around the office to get people excited about it. And everyone wanted to come over and take a look at them, right? And Chris, you saw it. A number of other people saw it. Mm-hmm. And one of the big points of feedback I got from everyone was, wow, this old artifact frame looks so good on some of these modern artifacts. So we actually, from a design perspective, tweaked the set to get a few more cool, popular artifacts in there because it just looks so good with a lot of these cards. So yes, legacy players, modern players, there's some fun stuff in there for you.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot going on here. I do want to address, we'll get to Q&A in just a second. So if you have some questions that we're going to be able to answer, please do put them in the chat. The legality of these cards, all of the cards that are not on the bonus sheet, if they are not banned, are legal in modern, because Timespiral itself was a modern legal set. The bonus sheet, all of the cards that are on there will be legal in formats that they are already legal in. This printing in Timespiral Remastered will not add any new legalities to any of those cards. So yeah, lots going on. Of note, this will be on Magic the Gathering Online, but not on Magic the Gathering Arena. So if you want to play online, it's great. Check out Magic the Gathering Online, and yeah, that's where it's going to be, and it will only be available in draft boosters. There will be no collector boosters or set boosters for Timespiral Remastered. Only draft boosters.
Yeah, you mentioned the formats there a moment ago, Steve, and I think that's a really good call out. When we were selecting the cards for this bonus sheet, we looked across a very wide range of Magic formats to try and pick cards that would, there'd be a little something for everybody, to the point of even putting cards in here that are standard legal currently, because it'd be really cool to have some old card frame cards show up in standard. And earlier today, Banishing Light was previewed, right? And that's a currently standard legal card that you could take and put into your standard deck with the old card frame, which is, it warms my heart a little bit that people can go and use that. And I previewed Thrabin Inspector this morning, which, in addition to being like a cube staple, is a popper card. And it's really awesome to give that community a card to play with. So yeah, there's stuff all across formats. You've seen Chalice of the Void is a card that we previewed. That's a big one for Eternal formats, all the way to Relentless Rats, or for the person who wants to build their 60 Relentless Rat commander deck, right? So a lot of fun stuff. And yeah, these are just things we've shown off already. There's lots more good stuff left to come.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a set celebrating Magic's history unless we could get Relentless Rats in there somewhere. Just because that there's always one. There's always that one person that is rocking the 32 Rats deck. So happy to see old Relentless Rats coming back.
Let's see here. Looking for questions that we can actually answer. Gavin, are there any rarity shifts in Timespiral Remastered? Do you know that off the top of your head?
Yes, there are rarity shifts. There are some cards that have moved rarities around. I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but yes, there are some rarity shifts. Just in general, one thing that is true is Timespiral Remastered has mythic rares, and we didn't have that back in original Timespiral. So that's one thing that exists here. But common and uncommon stuff's got shifted around, and I believe there are some downshifts for pauper players. I actually haven't looked 100%, but I believe there are. So yeah, I guess pauper players, keep your eyes open. If nothing else, I know there's some cards on the bonus sheet for you. Thrabin Inspector is not the only one.
Let's see. Will they have a box topper when buying a booster box? There are no box toppers in Timespiral Remastered, but there is a buy a box promotional card, which is Lotus Bloom. And that card was shown a while back. You should inquire at your friendly local game store to see whether or not you're going to be able to get one of those. Let's see here.
Fun fact about that Lotus Bloom is it uses this Christopher Rush artwork that's really cool. Lotus Bloom was the pre-release card for the original Timespiral set. So this time around, we thought it would be a great homage to use that Lotus Bloom pre-release card as a pre-release card here again, but in the old card frame. And it is the only card from Timespiral block which appears in the old card frame among everything in this product.
Let's see, another question. If you could remaster another block, what block would you remaster?
We'll get into this a little bit more next week, I think, when I talk about architecture and how that influenced the set. But my hope is that we can do a lot more of these. And if this set is successful, we can continually make this happen, because we spend so much time making these awesome draft experiences that after they're gone, a lot of players will never get the chance to play again. And I love this draft format, but I talk to people who have even been playing for 10 years now, and they'll say they've never played this set. And it's like, wow, they should have the chance to do that. So there's a lot of sets on my short list. And I'm not going to say quite what they are yet, but I would love to know from all of you what sets you would like to see, because that will help inform what we do in the future, provided this is a success. And of course, if you want to see more remastered sets, definitely pick up Timespiral Remastered, because that will help make that happen.
Yeah, there's a question or a message our way for future remastered sets and what you're looking to see. We are always watching and reading and happy to take in that kind of feedback.
People are asking a little bit of questions about the foils on the bonus sheet and sort of what the foiling is like. Mostly in that we know that the foils that we do now have a lot of spot foiling on the image, whereas older foils didn't maybe have as much of that. Can you talk a little bit about what they look like and what the foiling process was like for that, Gavin?
Yes. So one of the things that we work with our production team very closely on is we wanted to make sure that these cards were as authentic as possible to the older versions of the cards. And so they tried their best to match what the older foiling treatments were like. Now, I don't have any here, unfortunately, to show you because my product hasn't shown up yet. But I know they put a lot of work into making that happen. And, when the set comes out, you'll get to see what it's like for yourself. But we wanted to replicate that old feeling, with the shooting star at the bottom of the card and having that be foil. It does feel a lot like the older foils. Which I love a lot. It means a lot to me.
Yeah. Saw a question in chat here about whether or not Squire made the cut, and no, and we can confirm that categorically because the bonus sheet from Timespiral Remastered, only cards that have not been printed in the pre-8th edition frame before. So Squire, having been around forever, didn't make the cut. I mean, otherwise it's a perfectly reasonable 1/2 for 2 and would be a great addition to any limited deck. But yeah, no, didn't make the cut this time.
Yeah, there's no cards that have already been in the old card frame. And a lot of people have been asking me questions like, man, I would have loved to see an Urzatron or something like that with the new art in the old frame. And I totally appreciate that. I feel you on all this. But we had, as a design group, we had 121 slots to spend on old card frame cards. And it seemed like putting any that have already been in the old card frame ahead of those which had never been in the old card frame, it was not the right way to go. So we wanted to make sure to give people who wanted to be able to play their decks on the old card frame or things like that the chance to do so. My hope is, and the public reaction so far to this has been extremely popular. So my hope is definitely that you will see more old card frame stuff in the future. My hope is this will not be the last of it. But yes, Squire is not eligible for that reason. I will say that I'm not going to say any card names. I will say that there is one card on the bonus sheet, which is, I think, the worst one, and most people agree with it, but it's very charming, and some people will definitely want to own it. So I'll let you guess what that is, but it's extremely charming, and it made me smile every time I saw it. And you will see it on the last day of previews. So
a lot of people asking about some Magic the Gathering Arena updates. I don't have any updates for you right now, but know that there will be more information about what's coming in Arena soon. I just don't have a date for you. So for those of you asking about the state again for February, I don't have a date for you. I'm sorry. Let's see here.
I think I saw a question here, Gavin. You confirmed in your video this morning, I think, about the bonus sheet and Planeswalkers, right?
Yeah, so last week I confirmed this. There are no Planeswalkers on the bonus sheet. So there's no old frame Planeswalkers in this set. We did talk about it as an option, and there were a number of reasons why we ultimately did not go down that path. And I think that if we do more old frame cards in the future, Planeswalkers are definitely on the table. But part of this experience is recapturing the old feeling of playing with Timespiral, and Planeswalkers didn't exist with Timespiral around. So that was one thing that we were like, yeah, maybe we won't touch it this time around. So you won't find Planeswalkers here, but not off the table for the future. I know that it's a very popular request. So.
People are asking about basic lands in Timespiral Remastered. Is that something that's going to be showing up in draft boosters, Gavin?
There are no basic lands in Timespiral Remastered. So, simple as that. When you see that 289 in the bottom plus the 121, those are all non-basic land cards. So, lots of goodness jam-packed in the set for you. As much as I would love to get the Thunderbolt Island, it felt a little self-serving to put it in there just for me.
Seeing another question about any gold cards in the old frame, I will say yes. There are going to be multicolor gold cards in the old frame, and they are sick.
Oh yeah. We got gold cards, we got legends, we got artifacts, we got lands. We got the whole smorgasbord for you. So, and once again, the way the previews are working is we're doing a color a day, right? So white, blue, black, red, green in that order. And then on the last day, we've got artifacts, lands, and multicolored all bunched together. So stay tuned for that. Previews will start today and run for a week.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's getting to the end of cards that we can, questions that we can answer. For those of, going to do a sort of a roundup here at the end. We're going to run through all of the cards that we previewed today one more time. We're going to have our producer run through those graphics. Sean, if you go ahead and pull up the graphic for Momentary Blink. And then we'll go ahead and transition over to White Mane Lion.
That card that I super remembered right off the top of my head.
Here's Stone Cloaker. And with brand new art, Mangara of Corondor.
Awesome. I love this one so much. Yeah, you'll note, by the way, it's not just brand new art. It also has that legendary frame, right? It's got the new legendary frame to be with Dominaria and can finally have its regal glory.
And then we've got Stormfront Riders. And for those of you that were very excited about the bonus sheet, we've got Palace Jailor in the retro frame for the first time. So those are the cards that we revealed today. That's a little bit of a amuse-bouche for Timespiral block, if you will. We're very excited about the cards that are going to be coming out throughout the week. Definitely suggest that you pay attention to the different content creators for Magic that you love, as well as some of the news outlets that you go to for your Magic news. They should have a lot of previews coming for you later on today. I did cover this at the top. I see some questions in the chat about the Universes Beyond announcement made today. I don't have any other information for you on that. If you're looking for more, please check out the daily MTG article that was published this morning. That's all we're going to be talking about for now. We'll have more to share as those products get closer to us being able to talk about them. So
real quick,
let's
Steve,
see here. Yes.
Yeah, and if you check out Daily MTG, we also have the Where to Find Timespiral Remastered previews. So you can even look specifically for different dates and times from creators and outlets all across the community to see when those preview cards are coming. So get your bookmarks ready, refresh that page often, and go give some support and love to all the kind of great folks in the Magic community. They're going to be sharing previews over the next week.
For sure. Yeah. Again, Timespiral Remastered comes out March 19. We're going to be back next week. Gavin's going to be back next week, and he's going to talk to us a little bit more about the development of the product as opposed to the development of the set. So we'll get into what makes a remastered set, how it is that these products start from an idea all the way up to execution. It's going to be a really fun show. And if there's anything else that you have questions about, you've got the guy who runs the Twitter account right in the middle here, Chris Peeler. He's watching your comments on Twitter. He's reading them. He's getting them back to the people that need to see them. So you can tweet at Wizards Magic for any feedback or anything that you have, and we'll be happy to take a look at it. That's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for coming along on Daily MTG. Special thanks to Gavin Verhey, as always. Thanks to my co-host, Chris Peeler. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks. Glad to be here.
And we are going to be done for the day. Sorry, go ahead, Gavin. Yeah.
I just want to say, thanks to all of you. Like, I'll talk about this more next week, but I think it's important for that I say this also. This set exists because of you. Like, I've gotten requests for so long about both doing old draft sets again and doing the old card frame again that I was so happy to bring this to life, but it wouldn't have been possible without all the feedback you send in and all the great fans of Magic letting us know it's a thing that you wanted. So really, all your feedback means a lot, and thank you for sending that all in so something like this can happen, and I hope you enjoy the set. That's all.
Really appreciate all of you coming along today. Thanks again to Gavin and Chris, and we will see you next week.